Allow me to respect the protocol that has been established. Honorable Jean Mwanawaza Sendeza, Member of Parliament, the Minister of Gender, Community Development and Social Welfare, Her Honor Aisha Adams, Member of Parliament, the Second Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Malawi, all ministers and honorable members of this august assembly, Dr. Na Dodo, Senior Research and Policy Analysis and Lead on Population Dynamics and Demographic Dividend, AFIDEP and Research Think Tank, Mrs. Fiona Kalemba, the Clerk of Parliament of Malawi, Mrs. Phoebe Kasoga, Country Director, Plan International Malawi, Ms. Lynn Chinene, Plan International Zambia, the Deputy Representative of UNFPA and representatives of all UN agencies here present, the directors from the SADC Parliamentary Forum and managers there present, Ms. Eva Jala, drafter of the Gender-Based Violence Model Law and our chief resource for this domestication process, development partners, civil society organizations here present, and independent institutions like the Ombudsman, the Human Rights Commission. Allow me to just say invited guests, members of the Fourth Estate of the Press, welcome, good morning. Let me say Murubanji. Through you, Honorable Minister Sendeza, I bring fraternal greetings from the SADC Parliamentary Forum family. It is with immense humility and honor that I appear before you in my capacity as the Secretary General of the SADC Parliamentary Forum to engage on the issue of domestication of the SADC Model Law on Gender-Based Violence. As you are aware, this is an initiative which follows your participation during the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, which took place earlier this year in New York, whereby the Honorable Minister of Gender delivered a powerful rendition of her views on how gender equality should be advanced in Southern Africa by leveraging technology. On this occasion, it was highlighted that the SADC Model Law on Gender-Based Violence should be utilized as a guiding instrument for policy initiatives and legislative interventions. Today, honorable members, this session, which is taking place under the auspices of the Gender-Based Violence Technical Working Group partners, in particular, allow me to indicate that Plan International Malawi and Plan International Zambia, the United Nations agencies, civil society organizations represented by SAFEs, in collaboration with the Ministry of Gender and the National Parliament, aims to delve into the nature of domestication strategies and modalities which may be adopted to further identify the gaps in domestic law and to incorporate the provisions of the model law which will advance the mitigation and prevention of gender-based violence as appropriate. I must say at the outset that domestication is a recurrent issue dealt with by the SADC Parliamentary Forum as a regional interparliamentary organization which brings together the 15 SADC member parliaments in the SADC region. We have a reach of at least over 3,000 members of parliament and more parliamentary staff in this regard. We therefore are indebted to harmonization of norms from regional, international to national level. It is an issue of utmost importance for us as the Forum to facilitate further integration of member states in the region. Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members, distinguished participants, domestication by the adoption of similar legal norms brings member states closer and therefore facilitate linkages which prepare countries for socio-economic integration. Domestication is therefore quintessential for regionalization, whether it is about the SADC Model Laws, the SADC protocols, treaties, or other multilateral agreements that bind the region. I think this august audience will concur with me to note that protection of individuals from gender-based violence is long overdue. In SADC, such practices have in fact been discouraged through sensitization campaigns dating as far back as the 1980s. However, gender-based violence is still rampant and its consequences brutal and dire, especially for the most vulnerable segment of our populations, at the bottom of the social ladder, be it male or female. This is because gender-based violence has moved forward from the traditional physical assaults to more sophisticated means such as psychological, emotional violence, and even cyber violence, to cite but a few forms of gender-based violence. Honorable members, distinguished participants, the 21st century is therefore faced with an unprecedented conundrum, where laws on gender-based violence need to be updated regularly due to the fast evolving pace of society and societal trends. Laws need to adapt fast to befit current circumstances. Therefore, a model law such as this one on gender-based violence and many others are made to facilitate this adaptation process and to give national parliaments a boost in terms of subject analysis, grounded research and evidence, legislative brainstorming, and drafting formulation. This goes on to do the same for our ministries and our technical staff who are supporting the gender machineries, among others. In addition, you will note that there's no copyright on the SADC Model Law. When national parliaments import similar provisions into domestic law, this we encourage greatly where possible. The model law, honorable members, was adopted by an inclusive process, uniting all SADC member parliaments at the level of the plenary assembly. It also brought together civil society organizations, the judiciary. It brought together academia and many other victims who have first-hand experience on this particular subject matter. And therefore, the SADC Model Law is for you to embrace and internalize. The Model Law, honorable members, was adopted recently by the 50th Plenary Assembly session of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, held in Windhoek, Namibia, in December 2021. It is now at your doors and is ready for incorporation. I'm confident that through you, Honorable Minister Sendeza, that this session will also serve to assist ministries and members of parliament to reflect on key domestication strategies, to internalize the model law and thus elevate the prevailing norms in Malawi to the prescribed standards. That is why our drafter, Ms. Eva Jala, will go clause by clause, article by article, in order for us to engage on the substance of the model law. I wish to highlight, Honorable Minister, that all model laws of the Forum are followed by further advocacy materials to assist domestication. Such guides or manuals for stakeholders are available on our site. Those advocacy materials are currently under preparation and you'll be communicated with those in due course. In addition, we will be keen to hear your feedback and ideas on which materials may be further developed to assist members of parliament in Malawi, taking into account the context at national level. I therefore encourage honorable ministers and members of parliament and other stakeholders, particularly civil society, to interact with the presenters today and tomorrow in view of appreciating the main provisions of the model law and their objectives. Thereupon, it would be necessary to devise a robust multi-partnership framework and a roadmap for incorporation of the model laws at the level of Malawi. Incorporation of provisions is an issue which requires ongoing consultation with representatives from the three arms of the state. For instance, there are provisions on judicial remedies, such as restraining orders to protect victims of gender-based violence, which require consultations with magistrates and judicial officers at national level. Similar criminalization of certain GBV offenses will of course require consultation with the prosecutor's office and the relevant policy organs. Increase in budgets and gender mainstreaming through the appropriation bill will necessitate approvals by the Ministry of Finance, among others. Honorable Minister and members of Parliament, colleagues present, I'm confident that the outcome of this session will lead to reflections on the multi-stakeholder framework to be adopted and subsequently on the roadmap to be put in place in Malawi. Honorable Minister and honorable members, and as Nelson Mandela rightly said, it always seems impossible until it's done. A few years ago, the domestication of the model law on child marriage was also viewed as impossible by many. Yet today, the main provisions of the model law have been domesticated in many SADC countries to raise the legal age of marriage to 18. Similarly, we are confident the model law on gender-based violence too will be progressively internalized. By organizing this activity, the Forum, in collaboration with the National Parliament, is fully appreciative of the efforts made by the Honorable Ministers and Members of Parliament to promote domestication. Your attendance itself today is a testament to your goodwill and willingness to modernize the domestic GBV framework and elevate Malawi to the heights of citizens' expectation. This would also constitute a stride ahead in the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goal number 5 on gender equality, and in stepping closer to achieving women empowerment as anticipated in instruments such as CEDAW or the Maputo Protocol. In this respect, your participation today is to be celebrated, and I personally want to applaud you and applaud the Parliament for this initiative and its potential for milestone achievements to be made in the field of gender-based violence. Malawi has set a benchmark in the past where they interrogated the model law on eradicating child marriages. They've also eradicated the model law on HIV and AIDS and have come up on top in terms of aligning their laws to achieve the set objectives. With these words, I wish you a pleasant session and thank you for your kind attention. Allow me to apologize for my absence and kindly plead with you to forgive me as I had conflicting calendars which did not allow me to come and join you in this important ceremony. With that, honorable members and honorable minister, thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you about the outcomes of this particular session. Thank you very much. Zikomo kwambiri.